People call a lot of things passive income, but I think that stocks and bonds are the most passive sources of income. But I don't consider bonds a good investment and I don't own bonds. When you own stocks, you really don't have to work for your money. Because as a stock owner, you are one of the owners of the company, and that company generates money. And some of the companies share their profit with the owners. We call these dividend paying companies. We get the money in the form of dividends, which is actual cash to our account. So when you buy a dividend paying stock, it's almost like getting a new job where you don't have to work at all, but nobody will fire you for not working. The other profit you can have from stocks is capital gain. Capital gain is when you buy a stock for $100 and the price of the stock goes up to $150. That's 50% capital gain. So let me share with you where I am right now with this journey and how much money I earn from stocks. I have 27 dividend paying companies in my stock portfolio right now. They pay me a monthly dividend of $150 for the next 12 months. Although many of these companies are dividend growth companies, so they will most likely raise their dividends for the next month. This is one of the reasons my monthly dividend payments are growing. The other reason is that I'm constantly buying new dividend paying companies and more shares of the same companies. And the more shares I own, the more dividend payments I will get. My goal is to get at least $3,000 monthly dividend payments from the companies I own. So I'm mostly looking for passive income from dividends, which means that I'm not looking for opportunities to sell stocks and earn money on the capital gain. However, there are occasions when I decide to sell some of my companies. For example, this year I sold some of my stocks with a really good return. So far, I earned about $2,000 from capital gain this year. This means that I bought these stocks at a much cheaper price and the price of these stocks went up. Besides those 27 companies, I also own an S&P 500 ETF. In fact, 10% of my money is in this passive index fund. This is kind of like diversification for me. Generally, I like to buy individual stocks instead of buying ETFs because I always buy stocks when they are undervalued. The funny thing is, many of the stocks I picked is also in the S&P 500, but the difference is when you buy an S&P 500 ETF, you buy 500 companies. And some of these companies are overvalued and some of these companies are undervalued. But when I pick stocks, I only buy stocks that are undervalued. And sometimes they are the same stocks that are included in the S&P 500. This maximizes my returns and minimizes my risk. So far, I earned about $2,400 from stocks this year for the first 3 months. Some of this profit is from realized capital gain and some of it is from dividends. I also have a $7,000 unrealized capital gain on the stocks I own. What does this mean? This means when you buy a stock and the price of the stock goes up, you have an unrealized profit on it. It is unrealized because you didn't sell it yet. Once you sell the stock, you realize the profit, you make the profit real. Unfortunately, right now I have about 25% of my money in cash. And this is really bad because that money could also earn me dividends if it would be in stocks. But sadly, there are not many cheap stocks today that I would be happy to buy. And those that are cheap, I already have a relative big position in them.